Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over another Gladiator Rubicon. And the reason being is that video that I made earlier last month was super rushed, but now I've got a little bit more time with the vehicle, so I wanted to make a little bit more in-depth video and just have it not so rushed in general. So I actually plan on doing every single trim package on the Gladiator, so the Sport, Sport S, and then the Overland as well. This particular Gladiator is being provided to us by Larry H. Miller, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler here in Sandy, so if you're on the market for a new Jeep, definitely check these guys out. And this one is not pre-sold this time, just saying. And as always, we'll do a quick walk around on the Jeep, then we'll take it out to see how it drives. If you are stopping in for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. Under the hood of the Gladiator, we have a 3.6 liter V6. In terms of fuel economy, it's going to be good for 17 miles per gallon around town, 22 on the highway. That V6 is all routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of power outputs, you're going to be good for 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. This is currently the only engine that's offered on the Gladiator. They said that they might offer a diesel in the future, but that has not been confirmed yet. Finishing things up front, we're actually going to start at the top of the hood on the Gladiator. So we've got these little like hood vent louver things, just mostly for show on the Rubicon, and then you can actually rest the windshield down on those two little bumpers here if you want. The windshield, obviously, you can pull that down. You get the Rubicon badging there on the side, and then these are actually the latches to release the hood, so there is no interior hood latch. And then you have the Jeep signature front end grille. We do get the LED projector bulbs with the LED accent lights, and then there are the LED turn signals with LED accent lights on the side right there. Fog lamps are down below, and then red tow hooks on the bumper. This one does not have the steel bumper group, so it's just the regular plastic bumper that you get with the Rubicon, and it's cool. You can see the tire just there behind. That's Jeep's signature look. Now around the side here, we have these 17-inch granite crystal rims, and then these are the 33-inch mud terrain tires that are an option that you can get on the Gladiators. You can see that they are super aggressive. These are ready to go on the off-road straight from the factory, and then you can see the Fox shock suspension in there that comes with these Rubicons as standard. Pretty neat that you can get that straight from the factory. Now around the side, this one has the body colored fenders. You can get these plastic if you want, and then we've got the little sliders right there on that, so that'll just protect from rocks hitting the undercarriage of the Jeep. Got your little gas door right there, and then we can pop around to the back. Here's the key fob for the Gladiator. You actually have this little flip out key, but I mean, it's actually a push button start, which is kind of funny, but you got a couple functions. You got your regular lock and unlock and then remote start, so you press that twice. First time we'll lock it, second time we'll start the Gladiator up, and then you can press it again to shut the Gladiator off. Now I've got the Gladiator unlocked. This one's got the tonneau cover from the factory. It's just a soft folding tonneau cover, and you can see you've got the slow release tailgate right there. This one also has the bed liner. You can see the little LED bed lights on the interior back there, and then that's the little bag for the cover, but there's actually a little outlet here, so it's nice that they give you that in the bed. But overall, the space on this is pretty similar to most trucks that are in this kind of like small truck size segment. Picking up the bed, it's super light. You get the cool Jeep badging on the back. Backup camera's back there, and then we can see the LED tail lamps. And this is actually one of my favorite angles on the Gladiator. I love the front end, but I just like this rear end, how it looks. Parking sensors, you can see, are integrated into the bumper. Got your plugins for towing, more of those red tow hooks. And then the exhaust is actually just down below there, and that angle with the tire looks pretty cool, and then you do get a receiver hitch since this is a truck. Stepping around to the back, we can see the red contrasted stitching with the leather here. Got those little Jeep door handles. And then we can look at the back seats here, and you can see that you can actually pull this down. It's like some cup holders. But the back seat space here is pretty similar to the Jeep Wrangler, actually. It's pretty much the same size. And then you can actually pick up these seats. There's little storage containers underneath them. So there's little storage containers, and you can lock them if you want. But other than that, they keep things pretty simple in the back. Now up front here, we have the keyless entry system. So one touch to lock it, and then you just have to put your hand on the back of the door handle, and that'll unlock the Gladiator. We can see here you got little cargo net right there, but more of the leather with the contrasted red stitching. You notice there's red accents all over the Gladiator. You've got your door lock and unlock buttons, mirror controls right here, and then that latch again. And just like the Wranglers, you can pull off the doors if you want. We can see that you've got the adjustments here. It is manually adjustable, so there's that strap, and then you can see these two things to adjust the seats. There is no power adjustments on the seats. And before we pop in, We can see the pedal layout just down below. That is to turn on that little power outlet in the bed. You have all your light controls. I usually just leave in automatic mode. Those are to dim the screens, but you've got your fog lights and then your cargo light for the bed. And finally, we can look at the seats for the front. They're going to say Rubicon on the back of them and more of the red stitching. You're going to notice that all over, but they are full leather seats, and these, you actually can get them wet and all that. That's why there's no perforations and why they don't offer air-conditioned seats in the Gladiator or the Wranglers. Step-in height's really good. It's really easy to get in and out of the Gladiator. It's a little bit of a jump, but you wouldn't need side steps. To start it up, you just have to put your foot on the brake, push the push button. Gauges will do a sweep right there, and then it'll say Gladiator, which is pretty cool. Now this Gladiator has a couple things of tech on it. So it has the adaptive cruise control function on it, and it actually has the blind spot monitoring. It's a little triangle right there on the mirror. You've got all of your regular cruise controls here, Jeep badge front and center, and then these are the controls for the center screen. We'll go over that later. Voice commands. There are rocker panels on the back of the steering wheel to control the radio stations. Full leather steering wheel with some contrasted red stitching in the middle of the steering wheel. More of that red accenting, which is all over this Jeep. Here are the gauges on the Gladiator. On the left-hand side, you can see the RPMs. On the right-hand side, you can see the speed, and then right in the middle there's that little center screen, which I'll scroll through the menu so you can see the different bits of information that you can see on the Gladiator. It basically gives you anything that you could ever want info wise on the vehicle. This is pretty cool. So like this little off-road thing that gives you different bits of information when you are going off-road. Coming around to this touchscreen, we've got some circular vents on both sides, which I like those Jeep circular vents. This is the 8.4-inch touchscreen. If you notice, it's all sealed with rubber, and that's because you actually can get the interior all dirty and all that. They kind of made everything so that you can get stuff on the interior, but this is their 8.4-inch screen that's in Chrysler's products. Super responsive. It's got drag and drop function with the things for this little sidebar here. It's really easy to use, really responsive. It's one of the best ones in the business. And then you can see you have the functions for the heated seats and heated steering wheel. And while we're here, we can actually look at the backup camera. If you pop it into reverse, that'll come up naturally anyways. We can see the little trajectory lines that will turn with the steering wheel, and then there is a zoom function on there as well, but it's a really good screen. The only other thing that I want to go over again is the off-road pages. We'll wait for that to load up. Now that the off-road pages are loaded up, you can see the different bits of information that these will show you on the off-road pages. It's pretty cool that it gives you all this information on the Jeep in general. Like that shows you like steering wheel, so you can see as I turn the steering wheel, that'll change. Definitely a neat little thing, and it's just kind of one of those things that maybe you'll never use it, but it's still cool that it has it. Just down below the touchscreen, we have all of our analog controls. So we have our analog controls for the heated seats and heated steering wheel. All of our analog climate controls are in this section too. Analog radio controls, so there's a whole sweep of buttons. This right here is to turn off the screen. That's kind of like your off-road cruise control, parking sensors, stability control, auto stop start, and that's just a mute. Just down below now, we have all of our controls for the windows. Since you can take the doors off, that's why they put a lot of the controls here in the center on the Jeep. So these are your window controls. Got some charging stations right here, and I can lift this up so you can see that underneath. And then these are the controls that you're going to go for. So this is if you put any auxiliary items on the Jeep. And then here's the important stuff. So you have front and rear, or rear only, for the lockers. You've got your off-road plus that you can go into, and then you've got your sway bar disconnects. That's all with the Rubicon, with the sway bar disconnects, and then the lockers. That's why you'll go for the Rubicon. We've got our four-wheel drive shifter right here. So you can see the different modes. You can do two-wheel high, four-wheel high, neutral, and then four-wheel low. And then over here is our traditional shifter for that 8-speed automatic. You can get a 6-speed manual transmission, but I'd recommend with the automatic. You're going to get better fuel economy first and foremost. It's quicker than what you could shift manually, and it's going to be better off-road whenever you go for the automatic transmission. There is a manual shift mode as well. And then we can see they've got little parking brake. More red stitching, it's everywhere. And then you got some cup holders right here. Center console is just over here with more of that stitching. You can see it's kind of like has a dual opening on it. You get a little charging station in there. And finally on storage, there's a little grab bar right there, but we've got the glove box. That's where you're going to put your owner's manual and all that, but it's identical to what is on the Wrangler. So we have all of our assist buttons up here, but more importantly, we have the buttons for the top. So this is all removable right here just via these latches. So you just have to unlatch those, and you can take off this part. It's like a T-top. The back part of the top, though, you do have to use tools to take off that part. I know that I mentioned last video power tools. It's just power tools will be easier. You can use traditional tools, but if you want to save some time, power tools will make that a lot easier. And you can see the speakers up here, which is pretty neat. But it's nice that this is a truck, but it's also a convertible technically. Now that we've gone over all the features on the 2020 Gladiator, let's take this out to see how the Gladiator drives and get a real drive with it other than just around the corner like last time. hopefully I got the camera angle right on this. Kind of scary. These Jeeps are so hard to set up a GoPro because the windshield's almost straight, so I can't put my GoPro there or the image is going to be like completely flopped. And so I've got to put it on the side window, and it's a little bit harder to set up. Now, initially setting off in the Gladiator, I am going to say that these mudding tires definitely are going to be quite a bit rougher than the stock tires that come with the Rubicon. And so if you want a little bit smoother ride and you don't need the tires that are this aggressive, I would recommend going that route because I feel like everything through these tires. Steering on the Gladiator is super light and effortless. Just like all of the Jeeps, once you raise the suspension a little bit, which your Rubicon suspension's raised just a little bit from stock, not a whole lot. It's definitely a little bit more vague, but it's not bad. It goes right where you want it to go, but it's still kind of this like floating around feel. Now, while we're stopped here, let's talk about visibility. Visibility throughout the Gladiator is actually really good. It's pretty easy to see all around the Gladiator. The mirrors show a good amount. That blind spot monitoring is going to help, but through the back window and all that, it's easier to see. And because there's not a big tire mounted in the back, it's a lot easier than on a Jeep Wrangler. Turning radius on this is super good, and I did forget to mention there is some other safety tech that comes with these Gladiators. So like you can get forward collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, all the same safety tech you get in all the rest of the Jeeps. You can get in the Gladiators as well if that's something that you want. Now let's get an acceleration and see if I made a mistake by buying a 2019 Rebel. We're still going. I promise we'll get up there. Yeah, these are not quick. I mean, the V6 for off-roading, it's more than enough power for the off-road use, but for on-road, it's not quite enough. That's all I have to say on that. I mean, it's pretty competitive with the segment. All these vehicles in the smaller truck segment, they're not the quickest vehicles, but yeah. I wish they put a bigger motor in these Gladiators. That would make them a lot cooler, and I'd probably have one of these instead of the truck that I have now. Sum things up on the Gladiator. This is by far the best truck in the segment currently. I'm just going to tell you that hands down. No, it's not the quickest, but stylistically, it looks better than any of the other trucks. I don't think there's any arguing with that. And, you know, capability-wise, it has all the same practicality as the other trucks, but then the Jeeps are so good off-road, so you get that benefit. And so, I mean, overall, it's just so much better than the other trucks. The only thing is this is so much more expensive than the other trucks in this segment. That's the only thing that you're going to run into is it worth the extra money that you're going to pay over, you know, the Ford Ranger or the Toyota Tacoma and all that? And you'll have to make that decision, you know, is getting the Jeep looks and the, you know, capability, is it all worth it? That will be up to you guys. I personally think it is, but I love Jeeps, so I might be a little bit skewed on that. And there we have it, everyone, the 2020 Gladiator Rubicon. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you are stopping in for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, comment down below what you thought. And then again, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller, Jeep Chrysler here in Sandy, for providing us with the vehicle. If you're on the market for a new Jeep, definitely check them out. But I'll see all of you in that next video.